What's up everyone, my name is Nick. I am originally from the Netherlands, but I live here in Malaysia. And I thought it might be interesting to share a little bit about my own culture, the Dutch culture. So this video is gonna be about the weird and unusual habits that the Dutch have. This is Global Gibbon. So let's start by talking about food, of course, because everyone's gotta eat. So in the Netherlands, there aren't that many typically Dutch dishes. We love to eat potatoes, which we usually eat with some vegetables and then some meat or fish. And a lot of the Dutch snacks that you can get at a snack bar are actually of Asian influence. So we have the satay, which is a very popular snack in the Netherlands. We have the lumpia, which is actually a Vietnamese spring roll, now Dutch. And we have the bami schijf, which is like a deep fried noodle thing. So the first unusual Dutch habit regarding food is that we like to mash up our food. It's called brakken, and we mash up all the potatoes with the vegetables, and once that's all done, then it's time to eat. Most people around the world have heard the term going Dutch, which literally means to pay for your own meal. So if you're sitting with friends or family members, it's quite a common practice to pay for your own meal.
Would you go Dutch on the first date?
No, I wouldn't.
Now, of course, this doesn't happen all the time, and there must be one or two or three Dutch people that is very happy to pay for the whole table, of course. The Netherlands is a small country in Western Europe, and so in the Netherlands we have 4 seasons. We've got summer, autumn, winter, and spring. And it is very common, or it's an unusual habit, perhaps for foreigners that don't know the Dutch so well, is that we complain about the weather all the time. It is either too hot or too cold. It is raining too much or it's too dry. So there's always something to complain about the weather. And here in Malaysia, one of the first things that someone might ask you when you meet them is "Sudah makan?" which means "Have you eaten yet?" But in the Netherlands, one of the first things in any conversation would be the weather. And most of the times this is a negative comment on the current weather. Alright, let's keep going. There's so many weird and unusual habits in the Netherlands, and this one is one of my favorites, which is you congratulate everyone at a birthday party. I mentioned this in a previous video, which you can watch up here, where I talked to my wife about the weird Dutch things. And so this congratulating of everyone at a birthday party works as follows. You go to a birthday party of, let's say, your friend, and it's his birthday, and you don't just go up to that person to congratulate him and wish him a happy birthday, but if his colleague is there, you would go up to the colleague and you will congratulate the colleague with his colleague. If the neighbor of the birthday boy is there, you congratulate the neighbor with his neighbor's birthday.
Congratulations! 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 Congratulations!
So that is pretty unusual. And when I first arrived here in Malaysia, I would go around the room and congratulate everyone. And people were asking me, like, what are you doing, Nick? This is such a weird thing. And then I realized that it's a typically Dutch thing that is pretty unusual. What would a Dutch person be without a bicycle? There are so many bicycles in the Netherlands. Let me give you a fact. There are 17 million people in the Netherlands, and there are almost 23 million bicycles in the country as well. So the Dutch, we love cycling, and perhaps it's not an unusual habit, but this is definitely a Dutch thing. We cycle everywhere. We cycle to the supermarket and we come back with big bags hanging from our bicycles. We cycle to work. We cycle to a bar to have a couple of drinks. And another interesting fact is that the Dutch people don't really use helmets when they cycle. I remember when I went to high school, so I was like, 13, 14 years old, and my high school was 15 kilometers away from my home. So I would cycle an hour every morning to school and an hour back from school at the end of the day. So that was about 30 plus kilometers per day. And I just realized that on a weekly basis, I would cycle about 200 kilometers per week. Thinking about it, that's pretty crazy. And there are so many different bicycles in the Netherlands. There is the Oma fiets, which is a very comfortable grandma bicycle, as it is translated to. And there are even bicycles on which you can lay down. Let's move on to a language habit, an unusual language habit in the Netherlands, which is the usage of the word dus. This translates roughly to so in English, and it is used a lot. You could use it at the end of an angry sentence, like if you don't like something, you would say, nou, dat vind ik echt niet leuk dus. Or you could use it in the case where someone is explaining something and it's like kind of doesn't know how to explain further. So you would say, dus, which kind of translates to like so. But the word dus is used a lot in the Dutch language. And of course here in Malaysia, the most famous new word, or the Malaysian word is la. And perhaps the word dus is one of the unusual Dutch habits that we use in language. Alright, let's move on and talk about another unusual and perhaps a weird Dutch habit, which is the 3 kisses. In France, it is normal when you greet someone, you give 2 kisses, 2 pecks on the cheek. In the United States, it's common to give maybe 1 kiss on the cheek. But in the Netherlands, we do 3. There are 3 kisses when you meet someone, and mainly you do this to people that you kind of know or your family members. And of course, you won't do this to your boss when you see him in the morning every day, or even the cashier at a supermarket. But yep, it's 3 kisses in the Netherlands when you meet someone that you know. I'm actually a little bit hungry now, which reminds me of another unusual Dutch habit, which is the usage of mayonnaise when eating. It is very common in the Netherlands to eat a nice plate of French fries with a big blob of mayonnaise. And here in Malaysia, of course, the favorite sauce is chili sauce, but in the Netherlands, it's mayonnaise. I even had a friend in university, and he would put mayonnaise on almost every single dish he had. I even saw him dip a slice of pizza in mayonnaise once. So yeah, definitely unusual. As I mentioned earlier, there are 4 seasons in the Netherlands, which means that our winter time, or the bad weather period, can take quite a long time. So when it is spring and the sun comes out again and the temperature goes up a little, you'll see the men wearing shorts and tank tops as soon as it's possible, and the women wear their beautiful summer dresses, even when it's like 10 or 15 degrees. And as a Malaysian, you probably wear a thick winter jacket at that temperature, but the Dutch, we love it when the weather gets good again and the sun comes out. And one of the unusual habits is to do that, to wear like really warm clothing when the temperature isn't that warm yet. And we love hanging out on terraces in the city, where you can have a nice beer or a glass of wine. And throughout the winter even, you'll see people sitting on the terraces with winter jackets on, because whether we can be outside, we love to be outside. And the temperature is unlike Malaysia, where it's always warm here. But in the Netherlands, sometimes there's only like 3 or 4 weeks of good weather in the Netherlands. So we gotta make do even when the weather is not so great. King's Day in the Netherlands is one of the biggest and most important days in our culture. On the 27th of April, we celebrate the birthday of our King Willem Alexander. And on this day, you will see the younger generation selling their old toys, their old books, just in front of their houses, which is absolutely normal. And the older generation would go to a larger city to go to a festival, because there's festivals all throughout the country. And fun fact, there's about 1 million people that will travel to Amsterdam on King's Day, which is about 6% of the whole population. It's crazy. It's a crazy good party though. I've even been there twice. Oh, good memories, good memories. I hope you learned a little bit about the weird and unusual habits in the Netherlands of the Dutch people, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up, and why don't you subscribe to my channel? Yeah, why don't you leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about the Dutch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.